Hello and welcome back to episode 66 of The Profitable Wellness Expert. My job is to help you to build a profitable business as a wellness expert or a health practitioner. That's what all of these episodes are about. And today it felt quite fruitful to share a little bit of a personal journey with you, a little bit of a love story, one that I have been on over the last a little over a year. And so we'll rewind and I'll give you a little bit of context. But today's episode is all about falling in love with social media. So rewind a little over a year ago, so June 2022. My family were visiting from Australia. My brother and I were sat down in our back garden here in the UK, having a drink together, catching up, and he asked me about, how the business is going. And one of the things that I remember saying to him was how out of love, in fact, how much hatred, how much I despised social media, and yet how important it felt for not only my business, but also for our clients' business, you guys, how important it felt as a platform to be engaged on. And I remember communicating to him this internal struggle that I was experiencing, and you might relate to some of these feelings of wanting to use social media in an effective way, knowing the power of it, feeling pressure from all angles to make it work for me. And at the same time, this struggle against feelings of wanting to shut all platforms down and run a mile away. And you've probably felt this too in some instances, that you know you need to use it, but you also find it difficult. You find it time consuming. You find it perhaps unfulfilling in terms of both getting results and also getting traction and momentum. So engagement and likes and follows and all of those things that your brain tells you should be getting from being active on social media. I know if you're anything like me, you've probably experienced that stop-start relationship with social media where you build a little bit of momentum and you're enjoying it, and then you sort of burn yourself out and feel hell-bent on having a business that doesn't require it at all. And that was me. That was me a little over a year ago in my business. I was hell-bent on building a business that didn't require me to be visible at all. And Hannah, my business partner, my husband, Jamie, who the three of us worked together in a partnership, we sat down and we spent weeks, hours and hours on Zoom across multiple weeks, trying to figure out how to crack this code of building a self-fulfilling pipeline of clients, a funnel that converted clients without any visibility at all. And we put a few things into place around that, and we started to follow a few gurus in this space. And what I noticed is that none of the gurus in that particular space of building a business where you don't need to be visible on social media are experts in the wellness industry. None of them are building legacy brands around their knowledge and their expertise. Their ultimate message is this sort of meta proposition of, I don't post on social media, and I'll show you how to not post on social media as well. And that appeals to a lot of people, and it certainly appealed to me at the time. But what I want to use this episode to do for you is to help you in the same way that I have reframe some of the beliefs that I had around social media at the time and illustrate what a disservice it is for both you and your ideal client for you to get sucked into the possibility or drawn into this possibility of building a business where you're not visible. And what ultimately, an irony it is, that you would want to have a business that transforms lives whilst not showing up and being visible at all. How those two things just don't fit together. and how it may well be possible out there somewhere, someone is teaching how to build a successful business online without being visible on social media, but how contradictory that is to your ultimate passion and purpose, which is to transform lives and to share your expertise around health and well-being with ultimately an audience, a community, and paying clients. So, what is the relationship that you want to cultivate with social media going to look like, or going to need to look like, in order for you to enjoy being visible on social media? Because at the heart of this episode is my realization and the emphasis that I now place in the teachings that I give to my clients, the realization that if you want to build a legacy business online that changes people's lives, then your willingness and your desire and your love for showing up and being visible and sharing your expertise is part and parcel of that process. It is only possible if you do that. Think about every great expert, author, go-to person, leader in your field, and think about how you found out about them. And the chances are it was through some kind of content, whether it was a book you read, whether it was content that they had shared on social media, whether it was an interview on a podcast. And all of these mechanisms are mechanisms for being visible, for actively showing up and creating value for your audience. So let's go through the 7 steps, the 7 parts of this love story that I have been through, from that conversation that I had with my brother, from the pursuit of trying to build a business that didn't require me to show up, to today, honestly being able to sit here and share with you on this podcast episode that I have fallen in love with utilizing social media to add value to my audience, you guys, and that it is now successfully translating into a reward, a financial reward, a commercial outcome, which is part of why we're doing this. The driving force for you building your business is that you make money to invest in either your life or reinvest in growing your business. That the fruit of the labor that I'm putting in and the effort that I'm putting into social media is now translating into sales. So this is how. The first thing that changed for me was that I got laser focused on who I serve and how I can help. And this is not just about deciding a niche. This is about deciding on a specialism that sets you apart from everybody else. Okay. And I talk about this a lot with my clients, how to move from being a generalist in the wellness industry to being a specialist. And the same went for me. I was working as a business coach. I was working in the wellness industry, but I needed to get specific on the type of entrepreneur that I could help within the wellness industry and really get clear on what the problems were that they were experiencing, that you were experiencing, that I could help with. So laser focus on who I serve and how I can help, because a little over a year ago, I'll be honest with you, I was kind of bored by my own offers. I was bored by the things that I was selling, and therefore content felt kind of pointless to me. Showing up on social media felt kind of pointless if I was honest with myself. I didn't want to show up because I didn't feel excited about the things that I was promising, and I didn't feel convinced in the results that I was getting my clients to achieve. I felt haphazard. I felt part in, part out. I felt confused about what I could promise and what I couldn't promise. And if there's a nervousness within you right now that you're not sure what you can actually promise as a tangible outcome for your ideal client, it may be a symptom that you're not yet clear enough on your specialism, that you're not clear enough on what you stand for, that you're not clear enough on your own profitable niche as a wellness expert. So that was number 1. I was bored of my own offers and I didn't want to sell things on social media. So actually for me, it was about coming back and refining, who is it that I serve? What are the problems that they need my help with and that I feel excited about solving? And once I got laser focused on that and could channel all my efforts into that one clear message, creating content became so easy. I got into that flow state, and I feel it now. There are so many ideas that I have that I want to share with you on this podcast, on my social media channels. Content flows because I am clear on who I help and how I help them, and in a very specific way. So that's the caveat, is not only being clear on your niche, but having a clear specialism that sets you apart from everybody else, being that go-to person for a very specific problem or outcome. The second thing, and this is a bit of an ego lesson for me that may be useful for you to hear, and that is I was in the habit of thinking that people would just find me. That if I do great work, if I'm an expert in my field, if I'm good at what I do, then surely people will just find me. And the truth is that you can be an amazing wellness expert or a health practitioner and not have a profitable business. You can be amazing at what you do and get great results, but not have a successful online business that generates revenue and attracts clients consistently. And the reason for that is that your expertise can often breed a sense of complacency. It's that old adage that, build it and they'll find it. And it's just not true, because we live in an age of saturation of information, of saturation of marketing messages, and you need to learn how to stand out. You need to learn how to market yourself. You need to learn, as I always say, how to master the business side of being a wellness expert. Because if you don't, if you rest on your laurels, if you think that just being good at what you do is going to attract clients like I did, again, a real ego message in this, a real swallowing of your pride that needs to happen, then you won't show up. You won't be visible because you don't think that you need to. And the truth is that you do need to. And the people who are getting clients are the ones that are being visible. Because when your client goes looking for you, they are not going to go searching under the rubble to find you. They are going to need you to be right there, right in front of their face within the first 3 seconds of them looking, in order to see you as the go-to person that is going to help them. So I stopped recognizing, or I recognized rather, that people aren't just going to find me, that I need to put myself in places where my ideal client is looking. And that's what you should be thinking about as well. And that's really what marketing is, putting yourself in the places that your ideal client is in and where they are actively looking for your support. So the third thing is that I stopped focusing on creating content and I started prioritizing community. So that doesn't mean that I didn't create content. It's just about focus. So there was this shift that it wasn't just about creating content for the sake of creating content. It was about creating things that would build community, that would get people talking, that would have people saying, "Thank you so much for this information. It changed my life. It was so useful." And I'll share a story with you from my client group inside Consistent Clients. Anna recently shared this with me. And, she's new to building her online business as a health practitioner. She's a qualified nurse practitioner, and she is very clear on who she helps, has been very consistently showing up, specifically creating reels. We challenge our clients inside Consistent Clients to create reels for 30 days. And she's been doing that. And she said to me, "Lauren, it's a bit frustrating because I haven't signed a client yet into my new program. But what I do want to share is that I got this message from somebody yesterday that said, 'Please keep sharing your content, Anna, because it's changing my life.'" So she got that DM in her inbox. And that's what matters. That is the momentum that will lead to paying clients. When people start to notice you as being a reliable and trustworthy source of information, because people aren't willing to take a risk with their hard-earned money. They need to know and be confident that you're the right person, that you are going to be that reliable source of support for them to create a transformation in their life and their health. So showing up for a little bit of time is not good enough. Showing up for a consistent period of time is what is going to build that trust with your client, with your ideal client, so that they actually take that leap and purchase from you. And Anna is in that sort of space where it feels frustrating because it doesn't feel like it's working. I'm doing all of the things and it's not working. And most people at this point, and I have been there, will stop because they're disheartened, they're disappointed, it doesn't feel like it's working. And yet that is the moment when you need to keep going, when you need to stick with it and focusing less on, I've got to churn out more content, and instead focusing on, I'm going to keep building this community. I'm going to keep nurturing. I'm going to be the one who shows up first. I'm going to be the one who makes the first move. Let's use a dating analogy. Be the one who makes the first move so that your client knows that you are the type of person that they can count on. It's all about that connection. And that's what continues to drive me to build my audience. It's not about vast quantities of people. It's about connecting with the people who are already there. I stopped trying to outsource my content creation. So this is something that you might have on your list of things that you would love someone else to do for you. I just wish that I could pay someone else to do it for me. And having operated a digital marketing agency in a previous life, 3-4 years ago, we were running a digital marketing agency called Tama. Hannah and I were, directly working with clients who wanted us to take on their social media content. And part of that was our content agency actually took on my content as well. And don't get me wrong, they did an amazing job and created some brilliant content for me. But what it did is it disconnected me from my audience. It put somebody else between me and my audience who was trying to replicate my voice, was trying to be me online. And that's impossible. Nobody else can truly be you. The best content is going to come from you. So get out of the mindset of trying to outsource that, because this is your direct line of communication, social media. It's your direct line of communication with your audience. It is how they learn to know, like, and trust you. That magic trifecta, which create an environment in which someone is comfortable to buy. So stop thinking that you need to outsource it and start to take responsibility for it in your own business. That was a big shift for me. And now that I am actively creating my own social media, I'm enjoying it. I'm in the flow of it. The ideas are coming. I am showing up. People are connecting with me. It doesn't mean that I don't have a team member in my DMs who sometimes picks up requests and manages a little bit of admin for me, but I'm the one delivering and creating the content. And I would highly encourage you to be that person in your business too. Number 5, I checked in on my beliefs about social media. So a couple of things that I had in my mind to be true were things like, I've missed the boat, because I've got lots of friends and colleagues who started building their social media audiences 8-9 years ago, whilst I was building the Well-To-Do brand, my previous business, which we sold. And actually with the Well-To-Do business account, the Instagram account, I actually built a really large following with that. It was 40, 50,000 followers before we sold it. But I didn't prioritize building my own Instagram. And so part of me had this belief that I'd missed the boat, that if I'd only done it sooner, it would have been easier. That social media nowadays is really hard to build an audience on, that the algorithm sucks, that it takes ages, that it's a waste of time. And those beliefs were not serving me. So what have I done? I flipped the switch on those beliefs. I asked myself, well, what if the opposite were true? So what if it wasn't too late? What if now was the best time to build an online brand for myself? What if the algorithm didn't suck? What if the algorithm prioritizes fantastic high volume content, which it does? The algorithm prioritizes high value content. So Lauren, maybe your content just sucks. Maybe you're just not doing a very good job about it, right? I know that doesn't sound very positive, but that's the hard word that I needed to have with myself. I needed to have that conversation where I stopped blaming an algorithm and started taking responsibility for making better content for my audience. And I would encourage you to do the same. Final mindset shift there that I mentioned was, it takes ages and it's not worth it. And it wasn't worth it because I was stopping and starting and being inconsistent. And so I wasn't getting traction or momentum. And when you're creating change for your ideal client in their life, in their health, that it doesn't work if you only take, initiative for a few days or a few weeks. You don't transform your body by going to the gym once or twice. You don't transform your cholesterol by cutting out XYZ food for 2 days. You don't transform symptoms of IBS by adjusting your lifestyle for 2 weeks. It's a lifestyle change. And the same is true for social media. It's about committing for the long term. So I had to shift my mindset out of, it feels hard and it's never going to work, to it feels hard initially, but eventually I'll build momentum. And that is 100% true for me. Even over the last few months, I have built momentum. I'm growing hundreds of followers at a time now. Our sales are through the roof through social media channels. And so it's working. The momentum is building. Number 6, I simply stopped trying to please everybody. You will not keep everybody happy on your social media platforms, and you don't need to. And this is a really important shift. This links to the last one, but this is a very specific point that you don't need to keep everybody happy. In fact, when you lose followers and they aren't the right ideal client for you, that should be a win. If you are starting to get more focused on your specialism as an expert in this space, then you will lose people, but you will start over time to attract more of the right person who is actually going to buy from you. And that is an important thing to recognize, that you only need to keep the people happy that are going to buy from you. And that might mean sometimes disappointing or having disagreements in perspective with other colleagues in the industry, because your message will be unique. The things that you stand for will be unique. And that is a good thing. That is how you stand out in a noisy market. And the final thing that I want to leave you with before we conclude this episode, the final thing that helped me is that I've fallen in love with adding value instead of just charging for it. And this is what I've learned social media to be all about. Is about a catalyst for showcasing your expertise, a catalyst for building trust, a catalyst for sharing the best stuff that you have, not holding back, not thinking, well, this is the stuff I charge for, so I'm not going to give this away. I'm going to keep this hidden and secret, and people have to pay me to get access to that. Again, that's an ego-driven attitude. And marketing should be about generosity, especially for you as a wellness expert or health practitioner, because when you're generous with what you know, your clients trust you, or your ideal client will trust you. And when your ideal client trusts you, they will be ready and primed to buy from you. And remember, and I say this all the time, people are not paying you for information, so give it away for free. People are paying you for implementation. So if you give lots and lots of value and fall in love with adding value through your social media channels, then if and when the time is right for somebody within your audience to get help to implement those things and to have you hold their hand and keep you accountable along their journey for transformation, then you will be the person that they go to. You will be the person that they trust to purchase from. And that is what marketing is all about. I hope that these tips have been useful for you. I hope that you go on your own love story and journey with falling in love with social media. And if you do, send me a DM. Let me know how these things resonated for you. I love hearing your feedback. I'd love for you to leave a review and to share this episode with somebody who you think might benefit from hearing this today. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I look forward to catching up with you in the next episode.